Don't say later that they are from an animal. They are the molars canines.
The United States President-elect Donald Trump stated that Mexico is controlled by the illegal substance cartels. Those who take lives and cause suffering with such feats and terror, and besides, they have total control of the Mexican territory. Now, drug traffickers are considered groups that cause terror, and with this new definition, they will be treated as such. After this declaration of war against drug trafficking, the most atrocious crimes by these drug leaders began to come to light. Among them, an extermination camp. And we're not talking about concentration camps from Germany. But yes, it could be compared to one of the worst horrors in human history. And we're talking about a place much closer, and it's in Mexico, in this beautiful country located in the state of Jalisco. But what did they find in these extermination camps? Brace yourself, as this video is intense and possibly the worst I've created.
The defense argued that Oseguera joined the cartel at 14 years old and was only following orders from his father, El Mencho, so he had no other options.
The same day that the United States sentenced El Menchito, the son of this criminal leader, to life imprisonment for crimes. Among them, for ordering the end of more than 100 people, the existence of a narco grave called El Rancho Izaguirre, located in the municipality of Tochitlan in Jalisco, now also known on networks as Extermination Ranch. Teochitlan is located in the Valles region of the state of Jalisco in Mexico, about 60 kilometers from Guadalajara. The town is known for its cultural, historical, and natural wealth, with an approximate population of 9,000 inhabitants. A key attraction is the Huachimontones archaeological site. This place is famous for its unique circular structures known as stone circles, or as I tell you, Huachimontones, which are basically pyramids with a circular base and concentric platforms, something uncommon in Mesoamerican architecture. This site has been declared a World Heritage Site by United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization in the year 2006. However, no one knew that among the miles and miles of natural beauty, there was a truly terrifying place full of death and horror.
The place is huge. The place is huge. Look, it's huge.
The
place.
3 ovens were found within the field. There, these monsters would have cremated the people and all evidence of what they had done. Burnt bones, clothes, backpacks, suitcases. Everything that once belonged to these people, mostly innocent, entirely turned to ashes.
Well, as you can see, it's a crematorium, second crematorium, third crematorium. Look, this is the field. I mean, like outside, can't it be said?
Collectives have reported that the use of clandestine ovens to incinerate bodies is an increasingly common practice among these groups of illegal substances. To eliminate evidence, the ovens, although clandestine, were well made, built with bricks where many charred remains were stuck. In addition, on one side, logs cut by their own victims to start the fire were found. In this cemetery of terror, the exorbitant amount of 400 pairs of shoes were found, revealing the persistent crisis of disappearances in this country and the families' struggle to find their loved ones. But how is it that they only just now found this extermination field, you might be wondering? Well, because in September of the year 2024, the ranch was confiscated by the National Guard authorities. In this operation, they arrested 10 people, freed 2 captives, and seized vehicles, weapons, bulletproof vests, magazines, and substances. With this discovery, the authorities seized the ranch. However, after finishing the operation, they withdrew without leaving any officer in charge of ensuring that the criminals did not return to this site. How was it expected? Well, obviously, they returned and continued with their terrible extermination.
Well, we saw, because we had several anonymous calls, even family members who accompanied us, where possibly their son could have been.
So, it was that the collective Guerreros Buscadoras de Jalisco, made up of relatives of missing people and accompanied by other groups such as Madres Buscadoras de Jalisco, received an anonymous call that many people would have been dismembered at that ranch and that it was still active, despite supposedly having been confiscated by the authorities.
To come here, honestly, was financially tough. And well, every search comes out of our own pocket.
The 5th of March of the year, 2025, in the company of at least a dozen elements of the National Guard and 3 patrol cars. And without fear of the consequences, the mothers, fathers, and relatives of the disappeared entered the extermination field in the hope of finding their missing. At first, the smell was unbearable. You can imagine it like death, which made the work of the activists difficult. However, this did not prevent them from being able to document evidence on video before the site was once again secured by the authorities. There they encountered the horror that the police seemed to ignore.
Here, according to the person who gave us the information, they slept here in this place, they were kept here, they slept on the floor here.
The evidence was heartbreaking. During the exploration, they found clandestine ovens, charred remains, and a series of personal items that included clothing, shoes, and notebooks with lists of names that added up to around 200 records. One of the findings that most outraged the population were these notebooks, which contained lists of the recruits but with nicknames. The members of the collective believed that the members of the organization assigned a nickname to the victims. In case they were located by the authorities, they could not reveal the true identity of the people.
I already saw that they put them on everyone.
Among the names were pseudonyms like Panzas, Repartidor, Rosita, among others. On the property, they also found hundreds and hundreds of remains of bodies, I tell you, burned to ashes. They believed these could be people recruited to work in the world of the mafia, but deceived with the hope of a decent job with good pay. On February 1st, 37 people were freed from a camp, also in Teotitlan, deceived with false job offers. According to their testimonies, they were simulated job offers with attractive salaries, which were obviously a big lie. As they narrated, the victims were summoned at the new Tlaquepaque bus station as well as at the Zapopan bus station. Apparently, this same modus operandi occurred at the La Estanzuela Ranch. So, once captives in that place, the activists think that the property could have been used as a training center. In the images, in fact, you can see vehicle tires arranged like a military training path. They also found a building with bullet impacts and traffic signs, probably where they practiced shooting.
Look, all this, these are socks. Look, it's like they were training, right?
They also found travel suitcases and backpacks of different sizes, colors, and brands, even a delivery backpack. Personal hygiene items, female and male clothing, notebooks, books, keychains, photographs, medications, and wallets. But neither all the remains nor all the abandoned belongings moved as much as the discovery of a farewell letter in one of the notebooks. In it, there is a farewell message signed by Eduardo Lermanito, originally from Cortázar, Guanajuato, for his partner. My
love, if one day I do not return, I only ask you to remember how much I love you and say my grumpy, fussy, and jealous one has left me.
Until the message was spread, social media users revealed that the signature on the letter matched a 22-year-old young man. Missing on February 26, 2024, in San Juan de los Lagos in the high north region of Jalisco, according to his search file. The young man has a light brown complexion, robust build, 163 centimeters tall, and has scars on his forehead and on the left side of his neck. Against all odds, Eduardo was fortunately found alive and reunited with his family. October 21, 2024. In an image shared by Searching Mothers of Jalisco, he is seen embraced by his loved ones at the state prosecutor's office, holding a sign with the record of his rescue. But in the same way, and I tell you this because it is not known, the answers to the questions of how did he manage to survive? What happened during those months? For safety reasons, these questions are unknown. Similarly, another one of the located objects that caught attention was a Bible, inside of which were found 3 school photographs of a minor. The binding did not contain any signature or any clue like the letter, so it is unknown to whom it belonged, although it is hoped that someone will recognize the boy in the photos.
And no, it's not just us. There are thousands of families in our same situation.
The collective posted the evidence found on social media in case any family recognized any of it. Among the many pieces of evidence found, there were identifications of people with addresses in Jalisco or Guanajuato which had not been burned. This evidence found on the ranch in Teochitlan could be the hope for some family that has been waiting months or even years for any clue about the whereabouts of their missing ones. And through social networks, users who were looking for missing relatives began to ask questions about the objects found, with the fear of finding any clue about their loved ones probably already devastated by these organizations. In fact, one of the comments was,
"My sister disappeared along with my brother 5 years ago. She used to wear a similar watch. My question is whether the bodies were many years old or how to know."
Another case that quickly went viral was the identification of the name Carol on one of the nickname lists. Apparently, it could be a young woman with that name who disappeared on January 10th of the year 2025. In her search file, she appears as Carol. Natalia Sanchez Milan, upon seeing the live Facebook broadcast made by the Jalisco Search Warriors Collective, a young survivor of forced recruitment, was able to recognize the site as the place where he had suffered punishments, hunger, and witnessed many lifeless people.
I remember, and it makes me sad and powerless because we have to call out the illusions of these young people who, even though they might have gone of their own free will, thought it was different.
Manuel, obviously a fictitious name to protect his identity, never knew where they had taken him. After he responded to a job offer at the new bus station, he now knows that he spent some time at the Izaguitte ranch. The young man explained that this property was the place where the newly recruited were found. They lived there during the first month of captivity and went through their initiation test. Manuel recalled that hundreds of boys were with him during that first month. To sleep, they crammed them into the largest building, which was at the front of the property. And since there were so many boys, they had to sleep, spooning one on top of the other.
He says they slept on a tarp on the floor, not the ground, spooning together, 2 among 200 people. They crammed us together like tacos under a single blanket, sometimes 10 of us in the morning. They'd throw buckets of water to wake us up.
And shoes that have been found, he commented that they belonged to the young people who arrived at the training camp. Supposedly, they kept them for those who were arriving to use. In addition, about the large amount of women's clothing, Manuel assured that they are many young girls who respond to the same job offers. And that in the camp, they even had a separate section where they could bathe. There they were selected to later be sent to different positions. So it was the first training camp they faced. The witness also confirmed the presence of clandestine crematoriums, where the bodies of the young people who were losing their lives were disposed of, not only because of the harsh training they were subjected to, but also victims of hunger, the sun, stress, and physical punishment.
The training, one simply because they were killed, another because they just couldn't take it anymore and fell and died.
Manuel explained that before cremation, the bodies were partly made inside one of the red roof buildings at the back of the property on the right side. And then the fragments were thrown into pits that were constantly being dug, that digging pits and cutting firewood were part of their daily duties. In addition, he indicated that the ovens discovered by the collective are the oldest, since there were more recent ones at the back of the property. The entire property contained pits with charred remains. On one of the walls of the property, an altar could be seen, also to Santa Muerte, which drew a lot of attention during the live broadcast. The young man claimed it was made by the same recruited youths who their captors allowed to place images to pray to.
They made them fight each other to see who was stronger than the instructor. Sometimes he would arrive very drunk and start doing things that seemed like the devil himself.
The victim also reported that once the bosses heard 2 captives cursing at each other and made them fight because fighting and cursing were not allowed. They fought until one died, The victor was also killed in the end. The Jalisco prosecutor confirmed that it was believed that the ranch had been secured by the authorities since September of last year. However, they had not found any of these pieces of evidence, neither the ovens, nor the walls full of holes, nor the hundreds of shoes, among other clear evidence. Their excuse? Well, brace yourself, here it comes. Because the property was very large, the search had only been conducted in certain parts, which you realize they care more about.
Some remains were found, however, then the ranch couldn't be fully processed as it spans several hectares.
Given the stupid explanation from the authorities that the Izaguitte ranch had been searched a few months ago, but at that time no significant findings were reported. This generated questions from the collectives who pointed out that the remains and objects found were not recent, evidencing a possible lack of thoroughness in previous investigations.
They didn't see absolutely anything. They also didn't notice the disparity of the land, and they didn't conduct a search like the one that was done on Wednesday.
March 6, 2025. After the dissemination of the videos and images by the collectives, which quickly went viral and generated outrage throughout the country, and I believe all over the world, the Deputy Prosecutor's Office for Missing Persons in Jalisco took control of the property. This time, the authorities cordoned off the site and put it under guard to start an official investigation. So far, they have not provided a detailed report on the exact number of remains nor confirmed the collective's estimates.
Clothes, and well, doing their job. And in a few more days, maybe one more week, we can go to the Tequila Prosecutor's Office, which is the one we correspond to.
The remaining question is, which cartel had the power in this area? Well, this region is under the control of several criminal groups, including the Jalisco Cartel, New Generation, which many point to as one of the main players in the wave of violence and disappearances in the state.
Since its creation, the cartel has been unstoppable, becoming the most expansive in our country.
It's not surprising that these alleged training camps are linked to this criminal group, because many members of this cartel have traveled to the Colombian jungle to be trained and become life-taking machines. This kind of war education was brought to Mexico as camps equipped for training. There, the young people, many being just minors, children, were trained to be thugs and to know how to make victims suffer in the most painful way you can imagine. Born at the beginning of the last decade, this criminal group is one of the most powerful cartels, or the most powerful currently in Mexico, controlling a large part of the criminal activities in the Mexican void, being responsible for the distribution of the white gold, other illegal substances like these pills, which have lately been highly questioned in the 50 states of the United States, pardon the redundancy. The Jalisco New Generation cartel distinguishes itself from other criminal groups by the constant use of explosives, mainly to carry out blockades on communication routes. The organization, based, as its name suggests, in Jalisco, has also been involved in intense violent encounters with Mexican authorities, making use of long-range weapons, drones, explosives, and exclusive things of the army.
Shouting pure people from Mr. Mencho. The hitmen mounted on these armored vehicles, there you see, they show off grenade launchers, sophisticated military equipment.
In addition, there are countless videos spread through social networks showing how they take the lives of their enemies to instill terror. In fact, in the past, this group has committed a whole series of shades of police whose images circulate through social networks, and that I can't leave you here. A constant in the videos is that they strip the victims of their clothes and expose them without clothes, either partially or completely. And to position themselves in the world of illegal substances, the organization resorted to threatening messages through narcomantas, people made into parts, and atrocities of this style towards their rivals, which are then placed as terrifying warning messages. This is one of the most feared organizations, characterized by their way of acting, with which they not only terrorize the citizens but also other groups. In fact, when did this organization come under the scrutiny of the North American country? In 2011, more than 30 people were found dismembered in a hotel in the coastal state of Veracruz. One of their most common practices is to mark their rivals with sharp weapons. As shown by the discovery in San Juan de los Lagos, Jalisco, of 4 semi-naked bodies, all marked on their stomachs with the legend X-Rat or 4-Rat, better said. And to maintain control among their distributors and retailers in the various markets, the group created a series of exemplary punishments such as cutting off the limbs of those who failed to pay their debts, more specifically the hands. This was the case of 5 young people who appeared in the municipality of Tlajomulco de Zúñiga in Jalisco with their index fingers severed. The victims revealed that they were held for almost 6 days deprived of their freedom in an unknown place. And there they were tied up and blindfolded while they were made to suffer. And then they would remove their fingers, more specifically the index finger, from each of them. On June 21st of the year 2017, 2 members of a cell from this group were arrested in the city of Villahermosa, Tabasco. Talking about something else, but is it the same? As the alleged perpetrator of taking the lives of 5 people, 3 of whom were also dismembered, it transcended, or better said, they removed the upper part of the body. I'm telling you this way to avoid excessive detail and censorship. It was revealed that 2 of the detainees were minors and had declared to the authorities that after being recruited by the group, they had been forced to eat human flesh. According to the testimonies of the young people, the flesh belonged to a man who was found in the ranch called El Cedro in the municipality of Nacayuca in the same state, and without arms, or rather without limbs. The teens aged 16 and 17 said that after making the victim suffer, they made this man into parts and stored him in a refrigerator where they first took the limbs, these parts, and then the rest to transform them into snacks to feed the entire organization. Due to its degree of cruelty, the United States government has classified this organization as a narco-terrorist group. The cartel is headed by Nemesio, who has shown a savagery that is extreme even by the standards of this world. He is currently on the Drug Enforcement Administration's most wanted list with a reward of up to $15 million.
Today we will also be designating the cartels as foreign.
February 19, 2025. The United States designated 6 drug cartels in Mexico as a terror group, including this group I'm talking about. And according to the United States, the cartels undermine the Mexican government, Mexican sovereignty, and the health and well-being of its Mexican people. In March, the Jalisco cartel was linked to the process. Abraham, alias Don Rodo, the leader's brother, and 3 other men were linked to the crimes of carrying firearms for the exclusive use of the army, possession of cartridges, and crimes against health. The defense of these criminals had requested their transfer to the Jalisco prison. However, justice rejected the request as it was a risk to the region. If they free themselves, they'll likely continue the reign of terror and clandestine recruitment. But for now, the detainees remain in the Altiplano prison in the state of Mexico. Needless to say, the events in Tenochtitlan are absolutely terrifying. However, it's not the largest narco grave that has been found, unfortunately. And I tell you this because in the year 2017, in Colinas de Santa Fe, in Veracruz, more than 300 bodies and 5,000 bone fragments were exhumed. This is considered the largest clandestine grave in Mexico and Latin America so far. In Tlajomulco, Jalisco, 1,659 people have been found in multiple graves with 544 bodies alone in 2020. It's not just one site, but the scale surpasses what was seen in Tenochtitlan.
This is what is already considered the largest clandestine cemetery in Mexico, where more than 250 bodies have been found.
These findings have highlighted the magnitude of the problem of forced disappearances. According to historical data, since the year 2006, thousands of clandestine graves have been discovered in the country, many of them linked to drug trafficking. But the lack of victim identification and progress in investigations remains an outstanding debt of the state. So far, the Izaguitte ranch remains under police custody while families and collectives await a response. This case not only highlights the persistence of violence in Jalisco, but also the tireless work of the searchers, or of the searching mothers, who, in the face of the authorities' inaction, or the indifference, continue to risk themselves physically, economically, and emotionally to find their loved ones, doing the work that the authorities should be doing. Families are still waiting for an answer, a clue, a sign to be able to find their missing loved ones and give them a dignified burial. But at this point, the question is not only what is the largest clandestine grave, but how many more are there to discover, unfortunately.
But we want all of them to know, right, what happened. And well, to have a bit of peace.
Thank you.